President Trump has withdrawn his nominee to lead the largest U.S. attorney's office in the country and just named an interim. You may recall her name from Fox News, Jeanine Pirro. We're going to show the president's Truth Social post right now announcing this, saying, "I'm pleased to announce that Judge Jeanine Pirro will be appointed interim U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia." The president announced Thursday he's pulling Ed Martin's nomination for U.S. attorney for D.C. Martin faced skepticism from Democrats and notably Republican Senator Thom Tillis, who said Tuesday he could not support Martin's confirmation. At the White House Thursday, President Trump praised Martin and voiced his frustration with the outcome.
Yeah, he's a terrific person, and he wasn't getting the support from people that I thought. To me, it was disappointing, I'll be honest. I have to be straight. I was disappointed. A lot of people were disappointed. But that's the way it works sometimes, you know. That's the way it works. And he wasn't rejected, but we felt it would be hard.
CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins us now. Scott, what made Martin so controversial, and what do you make of Pirro's interim appointment?
Let's start with what made Martin controversial. He was in the crowd outside the Capitol on January 6, 2021. He wasn't criminally charged for it, but he ended up being a defense lawyer for a number of the rioters and was part of this effort to whitewash and rewrite the history of January 6, somebody who minimized the nature of what happened that day. He also has been on some of the Russian television media outlets, loyally defending the president. He was on Alex Jones's conspiracy theory program. He has been a MAGA loyalist with no prosecutorial experience. People thought he was unqualified, and Democrats argued he is dangerous because he's politically motivated in what is really one of the most powerful positions in the Justice Department. The D.C. U.S. Attorney, Lindsay, has enormous oversight and enormous staff and can control criminal prosecutions of federal officials. What do I make of Judge Jeanine Pirro being the interim U.S. Attorney in D.C.? She would be taking over one of the most high-profile, largest in scope prosecutorial positions in America. If she has history as a local DA in New York, she certainly has prominence as a Fox News host. She may be less objectionable than Ed Martin because she has experience, but she's certainly a polarizing figure nonetheless.
You had been speaking with lawmakers about their reaction to Martin's withdrawal. What can you tell us?
Let's first off and say some of our congressional sources were ready for this Jeanine Pirro announcement tonight. The word was getting around. They're not sure yet what to make of it as we come on the air, but they're certainly to issue some statements. What do they say about Ed Martin? Ooh, they're unequivocal about that. Adam Schiff, the first-term California Democratic senator who was once a member of the House January 6 committee investigating the insurrection, was the leading voice pushing back against Ed Martin, and he did so successfully. We spoke with him late today. Were you surprised by this development?
Well, yes and no. I was not surprised in that he was so unfit for office. I had put a hold on his nomination because this was a guy who moved to dismiss cases against his own clients, embraced avowed Nazi sympathizers, had engaged in the unethical practices of pushing investigations without evidence and dropping cases where there was an abundance of evidence. So he should have never been nominated to begin with, but still, this is the first significant nominee to be defeated.
What does that say to you about either the president or about the nominee?
Well, I think it says, I hope it says that Republicans are finding that they need to stand up to these completely unsuitable people.
Lindsay, here's a date to circle on the calendar for all this. May 20th. That's the date Ed Martin's term is to expire as an interim, so Judge Jeanine Pirro would have to take over by then.
Consider it circled. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts held a fireside chat about the judicial branch Wednesday. What are the takeaways?
Yeah, pretty demonstrative thing for a Chief Justice to do, to speak to a public audience about current issues. But one of the big takeaways from his remarks and from his annual report from December is there is concern about this rhetoric towards judges, this political rhetoric, and the prospect that it gives rise to violence or attacks against judges. We saw that in New Jersey in 2020. When Judge Esther Salas' son was killed by a disgruntled person at their door. The Chief Justice is trying to argue the political rhetoric needs to take the judicial branch heat away because it certainly has the risk of giving rise to violence.
Scott MacFarlane, thanks so much.